Welcome to Urban Legend Crypto. This is Pedro Rachet, and as always, co-host Mr. Bret Jenny. We're here to talk about the latest and the greatest about Bitcoin. So let's start off today with Bret's initial words. Go ahead, buddy.
Bitcoin, as of I think 2 or 3 hours ago, just hit its all-time high, above 70,000.
Wow.
What's it at right now? 68,000 something?
Yeah, 68, 691.89 as of this podcast.
Yeah. Here's the great thing about it. It just hit its all-time high, and it's just getting started. It's going to keep going. Too much money, too much attention, too much volume, too much everything. It's to the point of no return. It's not ever going to zero. That whole theory of it's going to zero, it's a scam, will never happen at this point anymore. So that's what I have to say about that, Pedro.
All right, Jim. Kramer.
I mean, everything reset a little bit, but
Yeah.
not that much. Like I said, we don't even have Bitcoin's halving yet. So that's not for another month, I think.
Yeah, it's about 30 days away. But do you remember last year's Bitcoin halving was, the last Bitcoin halving was very uneventful. Do you remember?
It was at first, and then it got eventful. Kind of like when BlackRock was first given permit, specifically like when the hedge funds were given ETF permission for Bitcoin ETF. Remember when that first happened, it was kind of a big nothing burger for the first couple of weeks. I mean, it went up to initially, 40,000, and then it went right back down to, I think, 30,000 for the next 2 or 3 weeks. And it was kind of like, well, I thought we were waiting for this ETF and it was going to take off and skyrocket everything. And it was a nothing burger for 3 weeks. And then as of 2 weeks ago, that changed, didn't it?
Oh, yeah.
So that's, it's Bitcoin always does what Bitcoin always does. And Bitcoin's always going to do what it's always going to do, period. So whether the price goes up or down and Bitcoin is worth 25 cents or it's worth $100,000, Bitcoin keeps performing perfectly the way that it was meant to, day in and day out. That's the great thing about it. No matter what your opinion is, no matter what the market says, Bitcoin and the code within Bitcoin does exactly the same day in and day out.
Houston,
We don't have a problem.
we got a problem. The last Bitcoin halving was in May 2020. All right. And it was pretty uneventful. It was 8,750 a Bitcoin back then. But within 6 months, it went up 79%. And a year later, it was up 547%.
So
Hello? Are you guys listening to that? So buy some Bitcoin and protect yourself. Just not financial advice. Was that financial advice?
no,
It wasn't for me.
but combine that with this time, not only that coming up, but the hedge funds. I don't know. I'm just saying.
Well, did you hear the latest about the hedge funds?
What?
Well, what they're trying to do is get the ETFs involved with the money market funds. All right, and if they do that, that's off to the races. It's going to be explosive. However, I do see a correction, and why wouldn't you take profits? I'm just saying. If I was there, I'd be taking some profits about right now. But that means I would rebuy as soon as I took my profits and as soon as I saw a dip. Yes, that's what I would do. Of course, it's not financial advice. So we've got some stuff for you in store. And I'm going to turn this right back over to our host with the most, Mr. the one and only, Bret Jennings. He's going to talk about what a quantum computer
I
is.
am officially, out of the two of us, the hostess with the mostest.
You are the hostess with the mostest.
Good.
Except you have no hair.
Except for the mostest here. Yeah, and I'm Swiss, so I'm
Right.
white as they come.
You're definitely Swiss. Yeah.
We are. I am what I am, brother.
Nothing wrong with Swiss. I like Swiss on my hand.
We all have to come from somewhere, right?
All right, brother, go.
All right, so quantum computers, the way that regular computers work right now is everything is worked on a binary code, ones and zeros. Okay?
Yeah.
So the way that a computer deciphers things and the way that a computer works right now, it's interpreting everything as in ones and zeros. There's a certain number, I think it's like 0.00001, 2, something like that, that equals A. There's a certain number of zeros and ones put together that equal the letter B, and so forth and so forth. What quantum computers does is it allows you to, the way that regular computers work right now is it works on a binary system, which is ones and zeros. With quantum computers, they work in qubits. Qubits allow ones and zeros to work simultaneously together. The end result are that quantum computers are a lot, and I mean a lot faster than regular computers. Now, why that's kind of a problem right now is, first, let me say this. Quantum computers are very good, and they're faster, and they're better than regular computers, but not in all areas. But the one area that they absolutely excel in compared to regular computers is mathematics. The reason why that's important is, so the keys in the cryptography for our email system and for Bitcoin are the same. So why that means something is, it's just like an email. You have your public email of whatever it is, and then you have your password. So you give people your public email, but you don't want to give people your password. The encryption for Bitcoin works similar, which is you have your public ID address, but then you also have your seed phrase, which is essentially your password. What quantum computers can do, essentially, is be able to decipher from your private key, from your public key, they would be able to decipher what your password is. So think about all the hacking that could happen with Bitcoin and cryptography and coins in general if quantum computers are allowed to basically, in a sense, crack the algorithm in a matter of seconds.
Deep.
Real deep. And the quantum computer race is intensifying between China and the United States by the day.
That is deep thoughts. Candy.
Holy shit, don't put me live on anything.
Right. All right, so I'm going to give that one a shot.
You give it.
I TikTok it myself.
Dude, I worked it out. So
hey,
you go
Alex
ahead.
is calling right in the middle of the podcast. He said, "What's up, Alex? Want to be on the podcast?"
Yeah. No.
All right, so here we go. With quantum computing, we're going to enter a new era, whereas before, the whole system with binary code is going to seem archaic. The advantages of quantum computing is that they can become an exponentially faster algorithm, which will allow competing interests to the United States to be able to go in and decipher passwords and the like. Where it becomes dangerous is that it could decipher our private keys. Now, will that happen? Maybe. Probably. Most definitely. But not right now. So why won't it happen right now? Well, because we can't afford quantum computer on an individual level. However, on a government level and a corporate level, some of the biggest corporations own quantum computers. And those computers are being used now for whatever use case they deem important. Now, put a AI into a quantum computer, and you've got a super brain that can do all kinds of things. And I think, and I'm not going to speak for Elon Musk, but I think that was his main concern, right, when he first invested in the whole idea with Sam.
Did you see that it came out in the news this week, though, that OpenAI released a bunch of emails from Elon that he sent back in the day, basically saying, yeah, you guys need to be profitable and go for the goal that you're going towards and the way that you're pivoting right now that he's supposedly suing for? There's emails that showed he gave him permission to do that.
Did the AI release it, or did Sam and boys release it? Did some
Sam
release it? Who released it?
OpenAI released the emails directly from Elon from like 2015, 2016 or something like that. That show that they said, hey, basically it was Elon's idea that basically said, hey, you guys should need to start being profitable and you need to start working towards doing what you need to and aligning your business and your partnerships with people to make money.
Okay, so I'm looking right now. OpenAI publishes Elon Musk emails. We're sad that it's come to this. Is the article. It was dated, let's see, March 6, 2024 by David Goldman. And what it says is the New York OpenAI fired back at Elon Musk, who sued the ChatGPT company last week for chasing profits and deriving from the original nonprofit mission. Tuesday night, OpenAI published several of Musk's emails from the early days of the company that appear to show Musk acknowledging OpenAI needed to make a ton of money to have funds the incredible computing resources needed to power its AI ambition. Yeah, and so what? So Elon told a company where he invested, hey, you guys need to make a lot of money if this is going to actually be a thing. I don't have any problem with Elon doing that. That is capitalism. That's the way it works, right? If I'm going to invest money in a company, I want it to make a profit. However, that doesn't deviate from the fact that Elon wanted to make sure that it's not going to be a public risk. What do you think, Bret?
I mean, I think, again, he's just crying over spilled milk. So he says, you guys need to do what you need to start being a profitable company. Where's that line at? Where was the framework or the blueprint written up that said, okay, you're allowed to make this much money, but then if you make too much money and you start doing these partnerships versus these partnerships, and he's really, I don't understand how he planned on it ever being a very profitable company without allowing access to the public at some point or another. It's like, I'm going to start Tesla or SpaceX or something, and I'm not going to open it up to the public. I mean, granted, SpaceX isn't open up to the public, but you can buy shares of SpaceX, correct?
Yeah.
Neuralink, people are going to use that with the and Starlink with the satellites, with his cars, everything. So who really starts a company without the expectation of eventually making money and offering it to the public? So you want to work on this AI project that's going to benefit society, but I don't want you to eventually release it to society. And if you do release it to society, then what's that framework or that blueprint look like that says this is crossing the line, this isn't crossing the line, you're making too much money here, you shouldn't make as much there, especially when you don't have really that much involvement in it. I invested money. I want a company. I want to make money off my investment. And guess what? He made money off his investment. Where's the problem?
Yeah. Well, first, let's clear some up. You cannot buy SpaceX stock because it's not a publicly traded company.
So take that one out.
Yeah. However, I'm sure there's a way you can invest in them. I'm sure they'd be willing to take your money, and you might be able to buy directly from them the common stock. I think that's what you meant.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean,
I don't know how that works either. So.
Well, I mean, even with other things, like I'm not sure if you can buy stock for Starlink, but you can invest in Starlink. You can buy the technology. You can buy their solar panels. You can buy their cars.
Yeah.
You can use Borg, right? So in a sense.
No, I'm not disagreeing. I'm just saying. All right, guys. So here's the danger, Will Robinson. So I always got to throw that conspiratorial twist on everything I look at. It's just the way it is. So I don't believe for a minute that this technology that was released to the world wasn't developed before. I think it's been in use for a while. It's now probably controllable as far as what they're trying to bring forth to the market. But I don't think it is. I think the fear that Elon Musk has shared with the public is that it could turn into be a Skynet scenario. It could turn out to be something that could be detrimental in so many different ways to humanity. However, that being said, I don't understand the lawsuit. I just don't get it. I don't understand why he's doing it. Your explanation is as good as it comes.
I have a theory, and it's not based off of anything, but it's a theory.
Go ahead.
Which is Tesla, especially Elon Musk with all of his companies, probably owns more data than any human being or company in the world, rivaling Google, right? What AI allows is AI is run on data, right? The more data that you have plugged into your AI, the better results, the more it can do for you. What AI will allow is somebody with, say, a quarter of the data that you have to be able to facilitate and get as much gain out of that data as you having 3 or 4 times what they have without using AI. So, in a sense, maybe Elon's saying to himself, these people I am literally 3 miles ahead of everybody else in this race. And this is going to allow them to catch up fairly quickly without putting in the effort of the race that I have. In a sense, in simple terms. Just a theory.
It's okay. Here's the thing. Do you play chess at all?
Yes.
Okay. So sometimes you're going to sacrifice a piece. And in this case, Elon might be playing a game, right? And he's going to sacrifice his pawn to develop a fork or some gambit that he's got in mind. So why he's doing this, I don't know. It doesn't matter. But he plays on such a different level, it's hard to comprehend the mind of Elon Musk. I mean, think about it. This guy's running 3 separate multi-billion-dollar companies. He's got SpaceX, he's got Tesla, and he's got X.
He's reinventing wireless. He's reinventing electric. He's reinventing cars. He's reinventing wireless. He's reinventing human capabilities with Neuralink.
Oh, that's another one.
He's reinventing subways. What else is he doing? He's reinventing space.
Are you talking about the ground?
Yeah, boring company. Mm-hmm. You know, he's reinventing space.
Yeah.
I mean, think about this, man. He's reinventing like 3 or 4 major industries at the exact same time.
Yeah. Well, he's, like we've mentioned before, he's the Iron Man of our.
Yeah.
You know, of our. I mean, shoots. I got to reinvent my sock drawer tomorrow. I mean, I'm just saying, this guy, he's running billion-dollar companies and managing untold thousands of people.
Yeah.
And he has time to think through what Sam Altman's doing. And so far, so good. I mean, I don't understand his strategy. I'm okay with it so far. The only thing I can say that I haven't liked that he's done, and that's with DogeCoin, you know, and playing that game.
Yeah.
I don't like that.
You know what, though? I think it's a big joke to him at first. It started out as a joke, and then he said to himself, you know what? I could actually make some traction with this. How cool would it be, since I don't really have my palm print anywhere on cryptocurrency, how cool would it be to put my stamp on something for crypto to take some meme coin? And so people need to understand what DogeCoin, all DogeCoin is literally they took the code for Litecoin and they copy and pasted it and then added a meme, and then added a meme at the end of it. That's literally DogeCoin. It's Litecoin's code added a meme with a meme added in the end. So if you take something that literally has no intrinsic value at all because there's no supply and demand, there's no scarcity, there's no same characteristics of hard money like Bitcoin, you just take something that says it's not worth anything. It's in a joke, a joke to make fun of cryptocurrencies, and I'm going to take that and I'm going to use that symbol and that reference to actually give it value.
Yeah,
it's kind of crazy, you know. But back to Elon, I'll just say this quickly, which is I was on Facebook earlier this week, and I made a comment in one of my posts about, you know, Tesla's down, what, 20%, 30% lately? Mm-hmm. Tesla's down right now in the market. And the analysts on CNBC are saying to themselves, do you think Tesla's a good buy? Should I buy Tesla? I don't know. There's more troubled times coming for Tesla. And that's my answer, which is, why would you not buy as much Tesla right now as you could, even if it goes down a little bit more? Do you think he's going to stop reinventing space? Do you think he's going to stop reinventing satellites? Do you think he's going to stop reinventing the subway? Do you think he's going to stop reinventing cars? No. I mean, those, like I said earlier, 4 major industries. Somebody like that just doesn't stop doing that. Why would you bet against him? I guess I don't really understand. So you know about the inverse Cramer Bitcoin buys, right? Mm-hmm. Anytime Jim Cramer goes on Twitter and says that Bitcoin is bust and it's going to tank, it does nothing but rise in value. And then every time he said that Bitcoin's just starting to take off and it's going to rise like the phoenix out of the fire, it starts tanking. That's Jim Cramer for you. The inverse Cramer move, right?
It says here on a Reddit post, Don't ask me. Let me just put it up. Don't ask me why, but I often watch Mad Money on CNBC. I also make notes of where I got recommendations, where I buy stocks, and starting to realize how bad the recommendations often are and how dishonest he is about his bad calls. A few examples. Last night, someone called into and asked about Eva, whatever that is, and he said he couldn't recommend it. Oh, really? Actually, he did recommend it. It was just several weeks ago. I know because I bought it soon after, and it tanked. I understand things change, and he is entitled to change his mind. But how about at least saying something like, I know I recommended this one, but I can't now because of inflation or whatever. 2, XL Fleet, same story as above. He recommended it, then he didn't and pretended like earlier recommendations never happened. Then 3, Tech Meltdown. In the run-up of 2020 election, Jim was pimping hard for Biden. Okay, fine. Everyone's entitled to their own opinion, but he kept repeatedly claiming that Biden would great for tech stock and especially Apple because he would improve relationship with China. This call has been catastrophically wrong. At least so far, no one acknowledges of this whatsoever from him. As so-called expert, shouldn't we have known that the policies Biden would call for, huge increase in government spending, massive stimulus checks, enhanced unemployment checks, would cause inflation, and inflation would be bad for many of the high multiple tech stocks. Thank you, Mr. Who did this? I don't know.
Who knows?
Who knows?
But that, I mean,
oh, here it is. Florida federal fan. Thanks, Florida federal fan.
Shout out.
Yeah. All right, guys. So right now we're going to go into another topic for us. And
what we talk about?
Bret is going to talk about, what's Bret going to do? Did you just do 2 today? You got 2 for today?
No, I got 3, buddy. I got 3. I got the 9/11 hijackers that the CIA worked with.
I see this. Yes.
Bro.
All right, hold on. I got lots to say about 9/11.
I know. And then I got a Canadian one about that just came out this week about the president of Canada, Trudeau. You love that one. Some bitch has been hiding something.
Trudeau hiding something?
With his bio lab, who was connected to the China party, and it was all released. Anyways, we'll get to that. You like it. So, were 2 of the 9/11 hijackers CIA recruits? You would think not, but I beg to differ. An article I came across that was talking about something called Operation Encore, which was an FBI probe into the Saudi links to 9/11 and was halted prematurely in 2016 due to internal disputes. So the Operation Encore was a 21-page declaration summarizing classified disclosures and interviews and high-ranking CIA and FBI officials. What they came to the conclusion was that at least 2 of the 9/11 hijackers were allegedly involved in a secret CIA Saudi operation revealed in a court. So 2 of the 9/11 hijackers were involved in a secret CIA Saudi operation. The declaration suggests that the hijackers were part of a joint Saudi industrial. Okay. So it suggests that 2 of the 9/11 hijackers were involved in a secret CIA Saudi operation that possibly went awry. And 2 of the hijackers were tracked after attending an Al-Qaeda meeting, but their presence in the U.S. was concealed. So we knew 2 of the hijackers that were in a CIA/Saudi Arabia co-op. They left that co-op. We tracked 2 of the hijackers over to America. Once they were in America, we concealed and didn't let anyone know, just tracking them. The CIA had involvement in directing the activities of 2 hijackers through Saudi intelligence. And that was another thing. So the CIA had involvement in directing the 2 hijackers with their involvement with Saudi Arabia. The aftermath. So in 2016, Operation Encore was a 21-page declaration summarizing these classified documentation that proved that 2 of the hijackers on 9/11 were working with a CIA Saudi Arabia operation. They left that operation. Our CIA tracked those two hijackers here to America and kept it completely concealed. How were they able to join up with the other hijackers once they got to America and then do what they did on 9/11 without the FBI knowing they were going to do that? I really don't know, because according to this report, they were tracked. Not only tracked over here in America, but they were in operations with the CIA previous to 9/11.
Wow.
What do you feel about that, man? That's crazy, huh? The more that the years go by and the more that we're moved from 9/11, the more these things come out every year, literally. Absolutely astonishing.
Why can't anyone explain to me, why did Building 7 collapse? How is it possible that 3 buildings collapsed on their own footprint when they were hit from, 2 of them were hit from above? And how cleanly they fell and how quickly they fell. And the only answer to that is controlled demolition, which is something called thermite, which by now so many engineers, so many experts have looked into this and have all concluded, almost without exception, at least the ones that are not paid off, that it was a controlled demo and it went down its own footprint. And that is proof enough with Building 7. So until that is explained to me, I'm going to think it was a homegrown event.
And it just wasn't one building, correct?
Right.
It was multiple ones.
Well, it was 3. It was the two buildings with the Federal Trade Center, and then it was Building 7. Then the third building was the CIA headquarters, or where they, at least where they saved their documents. So let me double check.
Housed several offices of different agencies and companies. Notably, it contained offices for the New York City Office of Emergency Management, the IRS, the U.S. Secret Service Securities, the SEC.
The CIA, so I was right.
No, so it was the New York City Office of Emergency Management. Also, another office in there was the IRS. Another office was the Secret Service. Another office was the SEC. And a number of financial institutions, including Solomon Smith, Marnie, Standard Chartered Bank, and American Express Bank International. It was also known for housing the offices of several insurance companies. The building collapsed after the. Yeah. So that's a lot of data, man, from a lot of financial.
Yeah. So what they say is that
Wow.
There was a lot of proof that was destroyed in Building 7 against the Bushes, the Clintons, and a bunch of other people. So at the end of the day, it was a convenient hit. And let's not talk about the Pentagon, where they just found out that they found some footage and it was actually a scud missile that actually hit the Pentagon. Did you hear about that?
No.
Yeah, there's this story that popped out that they found this footage, and it's been hushed.
Well, where did it come from?
Pentagon.
From a jet? A fighter plane?
Pentagon. Oh, for sure. They had fighter planes up all the time. Pentagon building. Scud. Missile. News. Let's see. Here we go. It is CCTV footage of Scud missile hitting 9/11. And there it goes.
Where's it at? It didn't hit yet, yeah.
I got it up so they can see it. So let me speed this puppy up just a little bit. And there it went. Went so fast. All right.
Yeah, you
There
don't
it
want to
comes.
say. It's pretty low to the
You see
ground,
it?
dude.
You see it? So this is good missile.
It's hard to see.
Okay, there we go. 21, 22. There it went. And so the what they're saying is that there's no way a jet airliner would have been able to fly into the Pentagon because of the weight and the sheer velocity would have dropped it, would have taken it down. So there's been people that have been saying for years that it had to be a missile. And
Well, I mean, even from showing that, even if you said, no, that was a plane, so you're telling me that something went from like 15 to 20,000 feet in the air, and when it hit the Pentagon, that's like 3 feet off the ground. You're flying, you're not even a pilot, and you're able to descend from that far and then perfectly get even enough to get a few feet off the ground to fly into the Pentagon.
Right.
That's probably the best pilot I've ever seen in my life, huh?
That's the best pilot that's ever existed. But here's the bottom line, guys. I remember it like it was yesterday. I remember sitting there, putting on my shoes, watching the TV and seeing this. And I felt, I don't know, all these different emotions. But at the end of the day, that was a pivotal time in our history. Look what's happened since. How many kids alone died in Iraq? You know that it's well over 1 million kids died in Iraq. That was directly correlated between us being hit on 9/11 to us going to war against Iraq. And the worst thing about that is, and you could fact check me, I'm not sure, but from what I remember correctly, the Iraq and Iran, those are like Persian countries. They're not Semites, okay? They're not Arabs. They're Muslims, but they're not the Arab descent. I could be wrong, but here's the thing. Here you're talking about 2 Arabs, right, that were found in connection to 9/11.
Yep.
Okay, with a report. They've known that most of the people that supposedly flew in these jets on 9/11 were Arabs. Why didn't we go to war and take down the Arab nations?
Because of oil.
Because of oil.
Because of our, I mean, man, that's too much controversy. It's easier to go after a country no one cares about, isn't it?
Well,
who's got a really mean dictator who treats his people like crap, and then you can paint that story, man. That's a great story to paint.
Agreed.
Right?
And it was because our boy Saddam Hussein was a dumbass, and he thought he was more than he was. He was installed by the CIA, and then he went after Kuwait, and that was all she wrote.
So you want to, speaking of that, look this up. Before we went into Iraq the very first time, let's put it this way. When Iraq invaded Kuwait in 1990, 1991, we had a really good relationship with Saddam Hussein throughout the 80s. Saddam Hussein came to America and said, basically called upon America and said, hey, listen, I think I'm going to invade Kuwait. What do you think about that? And America basically gave our permission for him to invade Kuwait. And then he invades Kuwait, and we use that for a reason to take out Iraq and go over and get their oil. Think about that. That's something you can look that up. He basically got permission from the United States to invade Kuwait before he invaded Kuwait.
Well, look at this. With the exceptions of various minority ethnic groups in Iran, one of which is Arab, Iranians are Persian. Okay, so not only Iranians, but let's look to see if it's Iraq.
Mesopotamia. That's where it all started in Iraq, dude, right?
Mm-hmm. And it's same thing. Basically saying
Persian, right?
They're Persian. Mm-hmm. All right. So what's the point? So they go after a
completely different culture.
A totally different culture than the Arabs. Now look, here's the thing. You know what bothers me about this is that as stupid as now that we've got some distance between the emotion, which was what we all felt as citizens, with the bombing of, the 9/11 tragedy, with all the people dying. But if you look back now and you see Bush Jr. going to war against a country that had basically nothing to do with it, saying that it wasn't about the oil, but every base was protecting oil fields.
Listen, he got caught publicly lying. He said it was to find weapons of mass destructions. They never found any weapons of mass destructions.
Yeah, show me the weapons. But then he developed bases all over if you look at the bases in Afghanistan, okay, come on. Dude. Like really,
spam sons of bitches, that. Man. They don't want you to find it, bro.
They don't want this, man. Look at that. Look, I went there and look.
You've got a whole Windows security.
Yeah. It's like, come on.
That's their way of telling you to stay off the internet.
Yeah.
Stay off the subject. We don't want you to know about that.
Yeah, look at that.
Censoring without censoring.
Hey, look at that, folks. You know what?
So you just clog you up with so much spam.
Yeah, I try to go in there just to show you guys the map, and all of a sudden that's a trigger, right? Now I got to contact support.
And all you wanted to do is find out a map of U.S. bases in Afghanistan.
Mm-hmm.
And they fill you up with all this spam that you can't unload right now. Yeah. It just keeps going.
What it is you have a scenario where if you look at the pipeline, you'll see all the different bases that are there basically right now. U.S. bases that were protecting that pipeline. That's all I was going to say. So, interesting. So, what else do we want to talk about?
We got one more thing I think you'll really dig as well, my friend.
What is it?
Which is the Justin Trudeau, Canadian's Prime Minister, which I know you absolutely love.
Can't stand that boy.
I know, I'm being facetious. Where were we? I got distracted. Okay, 9/11 right here. So this just came out last week. There was a huge press conference that the Conservative Party of Canada, their leader, came out publicly and held a little press conference talking about this. So, very good stuff. Documents have been released. So documents were released last week in Canada that alleges that Justin Trudeau, who's the president of Canada, that Justin Trudeau's government, head of pathogens, had collaborated with members of the Chinese People Liberation Army. So basically, there are documents that were released last week that showed that Justin Trudeau's cabinet in Canada was collaborating and working hand in hand with China's People's Liberation Army. It gets even better. The laboratory is important because it handles highly dangerous viruses and pathogens. So the security breach was that the government had been accused of covering up a massive security breach in a high-security laboratory. The head of the pathogens for Justin Trudeau's government allegedly worked with members of Beijing's People's Liberation Army. So here's the main thing. Once it was proven that there was a security breach and it was proven that Justin Trudeau's cabinet was working with China, let me ask you a question. Do you think that when this was revealed, do you think that when Justin Trudeau found out about security breach, do you think that he fired anyone? Nope. Do you think he warned the Canadians of the breach that had happened? Nope. Did he call for an investigation to get to the bottom of it to see what happened? Nope. What he did, though, was instead he defined 4 government orders to release the documents, and then when the Speaker of the House tried to talk about it, he sued the Speaker of the House for basically saying that he was trying to release classified documents. And the other side, obviously, the Conservative Party is saying, no, they weren't classified documents. It just was an embarrassment to your government that it was shown that you guys not only had worked with China, but there was a huge security breach. That's what it shows. So it's not a national security issue to let the public know that this had happened. It was an embarrassment issue. But Justin Trudeau was suing because he said it was a national security breach. And it wasn't a national security breach. It was simply an embarrassment to his organization, or it was an embarrassment to him.
Yeah, but what was it that was said?
Newly released documents concerning 2 scientists who were dismissed from the National Microbiology Lab in Winnipeg. So the 2 scientists that were released were basically in association with China. And it was discovered that they were in association with China. And so they were fired. But by them being realized that they were in discussions with China, it was a huge security breach. And the government covered it up. Wouldn't you like to know that if it was revealed that the Center of Our Disease Control had relations and was collaborating with China during COVID, and it was revealed that we were working with them hand in hand and that there was a huge security breach, wouldn't you want to know that?
Yeah.
Now think about our government covering it up. That's the big deal.
Well, Bret, they are. I mean, do you guys know where it came from? It came from a lab that was in I think it was California. That lab, some of that what was created, the COVID virus was created, and then they moved some of it to Wuhan. Yeah, to basically have it studied, and then from there, the whole it must have got out somehow into the public market, which is all a bunch of baloney now. You know, it went into
remember they
monkey,
said that
the monkey was eating in the thing, and these people would eat anything. It's these disgusting people. No, that's bull. What happened? Simply, we wanted a tailored virus that would kill a certain segment of the population that has become of no use. For example, the communists consider people that are no contribution to society, like the elderly, as weak links, right? It's
or
just
disabled, or
well, think about what these fascist Germans did. They killed in World War II. They killed off all of the retarded, the mentally insane,
and they did that first.
Yeah,
they did that first before any other group of people. They killed off African Americans. They killed off gay people. They killed off the mentally retarded. They killed off elderly. Basically, like you said, anybody who had no contribution to society, who was a drain to society,
right,
was taken
so
out.
Here you have a tailored virus. So basically, here you have a virus that was known in the 60s that was mutated here in our labs in the U.S., okay, to be able to take out certain parts of the population, and it was patented, possibly was intended to be used in case of war or whatever. Then it was, for whatever stupid reason, taken to a Wuhan lab, that all of a sudden that it was released on the population.
Remember when Trump came out and even made the question of saying, well, hey, I understand you guys are saying it came from bats and whatever crazy thing you're saying, but maybe, just maybe, it came from one of your labs, because we actually have some proof that it was. And him just suggesting that question, people went nuts. Oh, it could never. Guess what happened in the end? It was proven it came from the lab.
Well, I'm no chemist, scientist.
I am. I'm just kidding.
I know nothing about that. All I know is that it's not hard to put things together. Right?
Did you read or did you watch that video I sent you from YouTube called The Reawakening? I sent it to you like a month, 2 months ago. It was like an hour and a half long.
Probably not that big. But
so you should watch it, because the very first minute, the very first thing that they talk about is show a scene from the 1980s. And there was an AIDS drug that was created, and it was sworn up and down to be completely effective and to work and the whole 9 yards. And it was promoted. It came out, and it ended up killing a lot of people. Do you know who the main promoter and creator behind that was?
Who?
Anthony Fauci.
Oh.
Dude, you should watch it. It's like the first minute and a half. I was like, I don't watch hour and a half videos. And that first minute and a half, I was like, damn, this is going to be a video. The whole hour and a half is about things like that. Anthony Fauci, man.
I think a lot of things will be made public soon, and the consequences could even lead to war, revolution, because there is definitely an agenda afoot, and it's a travesty what they put the world through, and I believe it was a test run, dude. I really do.
I do too, and it was a tragedy. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. Now they're basically equating COVID to the modern day flu. No shit. Right? And if you want something that's going to affect elderly people, this did the job. Did it not? That's who primarily was affected by it. But that was my whole thing, which is you're taking a small percentage of people. And don't get me wrong, I believe people got COVID and they died from it. I'm not in denial of that in any shape or form. But 0.0006%, I'll say it again, 0.00006% of the population died from COVID. We shut down the entire world. We locked up the entire world for a year because of 0.0006% of the population. You're damn right it was a test run.
Yeah, but what is the objective?
You're dealing with the government. Who knows, man? I mean, it could be a million different things. Ultimate control is what it is.
I don't think
ultimate control.
I don't think it's the government. I think it's those who are above the government. I think it's the people that run the show that will, in the end, that will guide an unseen hand through public policy to get rid of a segment of the population that they deem unworthy. And the size of the segment, and don't infer that segment is small. I'd say that segment is about 7. I think what do we have? 7 billion people?
8 billion.
Well, we have a lot of billions, so they want.
Actually, I think it's 9 billion.
Okay, I have to look at how many people.
Dude, I swear to God.
The world population is at 8.1 billion.
Yeah, 8 billion.
All right, so if they want to get us down to 700,000, that would be about 7.3 billion people dead. Okay.
You think you're going to be one of the lucky ones?
No, because of this podcast, because of my views, because I'm a Christian man. That's it. I think I'm toast, but I don't care. You know why I don't care?
Because you'll be in heaven.
Well, if I could help just one person, dude, right now, just to see what's coming and guide them.
Yeah.
It was worth it.
You're right, man. I mean, whether agree with us or disagree with us, like, we're here to open your eyes. Like, at least look into these things that we talk about. Go on the internet. Do your own research. Have your own inquiries. Have your own fascinations about these things. But regardless, like, go out there and understand what is happening to you in this world. Understand where the world is going and what they want to do to you. It's up to you to make the happiness in your life and to find the things in your life that you need. So, you need to understand what is happening and what is going to happen. It's incumbent upon you to.
Yeah. I think during 9/11, taking it back, we were a lot more of a trusting nation. I think one of the consequences to 9/11 is that a lot of people woke up and realized that there's an unseen hand, a nefarious segment that wants to control not just the people, but all the assets of the world, to control it so that way anything that they want can be manifested. And unfortunately, what they want is not good. It's mostly evil. And when you got evil people trying to manipulate a population by locking us down, by taking us to war, by abusing our trust with our tax dollars and money and poisoning our foods, I think it's time for the people to stand up. But the other side is the apathy. There's so much apathy right now. People are so deep into credit card debt, so deep into housing debt, that they basically can't look around anymore. And that is on purpose. They want you to be so poor that your thoughts are not on making the world better, but on just surviving another day. And that is a tragedy. Whereas in 9/11, prior to, people had more trust in governments, in food that they ate. And unfortunately, they were able to get away with a lot more crap than they are now, because we are in an enlightened time with AI. I don't know how AI is so enlightened, Bret, but it was something cool to say.
Well, it allows information, decisions, data, value. It allows the world to run quicker, smarter, and more efficient.
Yeah.
So,
Okay. Well, I think we've had a depressing show today. I'll bring Kleenex for the next one. I said, I don't know what's going to happen.
One step away from slitting my wrist.
Yeah, I know. We're like, Holy shoots, man. This was like a terrible, I mean, if you
It's cool though because we can edit.
yeah, we can edit. But here's the thing. I mean, if you think about it, if you look at history as a whole, you'll realize that a lot of it's lies.
Yeah.
These guys get away with.
That's why
the
we have a
biggest
podcast.
lies.
We're not here to tell you that the sun is shining and that, go have fun this weekend and breathe in the mountain air. I mean, go do that too, but that's not what the purpose of the show is. The purpose of the show is to open your eyes.
Okay, that means we have a purpose.
We do? I just made up it right now.
Yeah.
Those are the best purposes, the ones you make up on the spot.
Right. I don't know if we've ever had a purpose, but we're here.
If as long as we believe we have a purpose, that's all that really matters, Pedro.
Yeah. Thanks for coming on Urban Legend Crypto. Catch you on the next one.